Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming and more Season 8 of Diablo 4. Today we're talking about the new lair boss system, the new way you get uniques, mythics, how to maximize where you actually get them from. So please refer to the timestamps where you need to, but we're just going to get on with it. The bosses are now known as lair bosses, and they're now tiered with scaling mythic unique potential through the lair tiers and torment level you're currently playing on. You will get most of your uniques from killing specific lair bosses thanks to their unique loot pools. However, in Season 8, there's more overlap than ever for these, thanks to some bosses sharing loot pools, or the fact that the final boss, Belial in his supreme form, literally lets you choose which loot pool you draw from. We'll start with some important mechanics, like how you can pull up the map and find this new icon here, which is the boss icon for a den or a lair. Then you can just click on it and go straight to it. You can also see when you hover over it, provides some information, like what has a chance to drop, the amount of lair keys you need for each chest open, which is pretty handy. To start going with lair bosses, you first need to hit Torment level 1, but in Torment 2, 3 and 4 they're still there, they're just harder with better potential rewards. You'll find what were the summoning materials in the same tab as before, consumables, with some slight changes. The fact that they now have been simplified so there's less of them for each boss summon as they were. But now instead of summoning items, they're called lair boss keys because they open the chest after you kill the boss. So one great example of the simplification of this is the fact that for Varshan, we used to need this heart and then a bunch of other body parts for one summon. Now it's just hearts, which is a lot nicer. But you need more than just one key per kill. In the case of Varshan here, you need 12 hearts per kill, so let me explain that. Check out this graph by Blizzard. There are 3 tiers of lair bosses: Initiate, Greater and Exalted. Initiate bosses, the lowest tier, which is Varshan, Grigoire, Beast in the Ice, Lord Zir, and the new Urivar. Whereas the greater lair bosses above that, you got the classic Duriel, Andariel, and the new Harbinger of Hatred. Above all of that at the top, we have the new exalted lair boss, Belial, in his supreme or uber form, but you will see there's a surprise ambush version that could show up at any time after defeating the bosses and opening the chests. So the chest after you kill a boss spawns in and then requires the new lair keys to open. That's how you get the rewards now. Some cool details about this is that you can go to any of the bosses for free, you can summon them completely free and fight them, and the first kill of that boss will also unlock the power of that boss for free. This means you can challenge any boss on any tier, and if it all goes wrong, there is no cost to the attempt. But if you want the rewards, those only come from the chest that spawns post-kill, and again those chests require keys to open. This does mean that you must have your own keys to get your own rewards, you can't leech off others, though you can trade lair keys if you need to. To combat the negatives of that, they have increased the reward potential slightly if you're killing a boss in a group, so that's nice. Last thing to mention here is Ambush of Belial. He's a smaller, weaker form of Belial that might show up after you open any boss chest. If he does, you kill him, and then you get a duplicate chest of the one you just opened, which costs no keys to open, by the way. So basically, every boss kill every time you open a chest, you hope the ambusher spawns in to double up the rewards. Looking back at that graph then, you require 12 lair keys per chest open for all initiate bosses. You require 3 lair keys per greater boss chest, and you require just 2 lair keys for Supreme Belial. Let's now talk about how you actually get these keys. Simplify it for yourself and just look in game. Again, in the consumable tab, this is where they are. If you hover over them, it literally tells you sources of them. So for the greater bosses, these materials come from just killing initiate bosses. But for the initiate bosses, that's all this other stuff. These come from various sources. So let's highlight where. Malignant hearts are most commonly found from handing in whispers as a top tier source, but you'll also find them by killing grotesque mobs that sometimes spawn post world boss or event bosses. Grigoire requires living steel. These come from Helltide chest openings. Distilled fear are for the Beast in the Ice. You get these by completing Nightmare Dungeons best. Exquisite Blood is for Lord Zir, and you get these through a bunch of methods, like completing world events, including the new incursions, Helltide, Blood Maidens, Legion events, world bosses too. Lastly, we have Urivar and the masks. These also come from a variety of sources, so it's quite spread out: incursions, Helltides, whispers, and world bosses. For Duriel, you need Shards of Agony. These are dropped after killing Varshan and Grigoire and opening their chests. You will need 3 of these to summon 1 Duriel. The Pincushion Dolls are for Andariel, and these drop from the Beast in the Ice boss and Lord Zir. Again, you need 3 of these per chest. Lastly, we have the new Abhorrent Hearts. These just come from Urivar. Again, you need 3 of them. Lastly, you have the Betrayer's Husks, which are for Belial Lords of Lies or in the Supreme version. You only need 2 of these, but they only drop from Ambusher Belial, who might spawn in every time you open a chest for any of the bosses. But there's one other way to get specific keys, and that's these, Stygian stones. They can just drop randomly by opening any lair boss chest. You bring them to any alchemist in the game and go to the Transmutation tab. Here we have the Stygian Stone Conversion tab, where you're able to specifically just turn it into whichever of the 3 greater lair keys that you might want. You'll also find in this menu the kind of out-of-date name of summoning item to allow you to craft a few specific types of keys in exchange for various resources as just another option. One last important method that you can do to get different lair keys is of course the Undercity, with these tributes, the Titan Tribute, providing you with a pile of different boss keys at the end of the run. The Undercity, as before, is in the DLC area in the city of Kurast. You can also increase the results of these runs by coming to your Season Blessings and fully maxing out the Urn of Lies. As you can see, it's going to increase the chance for the Ambusher Belial to spawn in after you kill a lair boss, which we absolutely want whenever you're farming bosses. As you can see, it's 20%, 40%, 60%, and an 80% increased chance for that to happen. So well worth having on before you do any boss farming. Where do you get your uniques from? Well, it's harder to tell you now because there's a lot of overlap on certain items between different bosses. We have some further information for farming uniques that you might want to know, told to us by Blizzard. The first unique item dropped by a lair boss will always be from their unique pool. Further unique items will have a 50% chance each one that spawns to be from the general unique pool. Lair bosses also have a 33% chance per party member to drop an extra unique from their unique pool. So doing it in a group is better and better. What is in the general pool then isn't 100% confirmed yet, like they've introduced the Infernal Horde's unique pool into the potential drops of the bosses. So on screen you're going to see the full list of all the different uniques for the classes and where it comes from. Please use the timestamps to refer to this if you need to in the future. So there you have it, that's the loot pool for each of the bosses that's currently known. As you'll have seen throughout, the universals was growing or being smaller depending on the boss, but the universal pool is bigger than ever. For example, the Infernal Hordes, where you might be getting specific uniques we're about to mention, you can now get them from all of the different bosses. So that unique pool is just bigger than it used to be. Our advice for you is to focus the boss with the uniques that you care about. When it comes to universal uniques, it can drop from any of them, and so you just hope for the best, you just run bosses in general. But if you're after Frostburn and Mother's Embrace, then Varshan's going to be an optimal target just as it was before, even though those are universal uniques. They still feel like they're weighted towards those, if you were wondering. Now, of course, there are other sources of uniques, such as the Infernal Hordes, which have specific uniques that are meant to drop there specifically. As I've just said, these can drop from the bosses now as part of the universal loot pool, but if you really want them and you want to focus them, then doing the Infernal Hordes and opening the greater chest at the end is going to be the best method. That's the third blade for Barbarian, the Basilisk for the Druid, Mortarcrux for Necromancer, Umbercrux for Rogue, and Vox Omnium for Sorceress. Further, it's a great source for universal uniques tied to this. That's the Crown of Lucian, Endurant Faith, Locron's Talisman, Rakanoth's Wake, and finally the Shard of Varethil. Of course, you can also get uniques from different places, like just picking them out of Helltide chests by RNG, or say getting them out of a Whisper cache as a reward. But I do want to highlight the very much buffed gambling system with the Purveyor of Curiosities in any of the main cities. These still use the same Murmuring Obols you get by doing events, and you still RNG pull from them. But the difference now is that the buffs to them is significant. So the rewards you get, the aspects, maybe even ancestral versions, it's a lot better, and as you can see, you can also pull uniques by doing this. It's better than ever and a great way to target things you need. For uniques though, it's quite a big pool. I think there's a lot of RNG involved, so not the best. But hey, it's an option. Finally, the brief and interesting topic of mythic uniques like this one. You will most likely get these from the greater lair bosses, Duriel, Andariel, and the new Harbinger, as well as the one exalted boss, Belial. The higher the torment level you're playing on, the more chance you have to see these drop. An exalted Belial has the highest chance of dropping unique items. You can even choose the loot pool of the other mythic potential bosses after you kill him. But don't forget, you can still get mythics from lower torment levels and greater bosses like Duriel. I had my 2 mythics drop this season so far when farming Duriel on Torment 3. So it's possible. But it's also said that it's possible they'll drop from initiate bosses, but the odds of that are surely very low. But yeah, there you have it. That is my overview of Season 8 and the new sources of uniques, where and how. I hope this has helped you understand the system and told you where and how to get what you want. If you guys do have any extra information or tips though, you can let us know in the comments. But for now, I've been Hollow, you've been you, and thanks for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.